I'll start, ma'am.
Vikisa, are you there? Father is there?
Father, I don't
Yeah,
think, ma'am.
yes.
Yeah. So we can start now.
The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today. And let today be the start of something new. Jackson Brown. Good morning to one and all present here. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to you all for the national level faculty development program on structural equation modeling with AMOS and econometric analysis with EBUs. Prayer should be the key of the day and the lock of the night. George Herbert. I now call upon the college choir to lead us as we invoke God's blessing and invite His presence throughout this occasion.
What can I give? What can I bring that would be pleasing to my King? I give my heart, not just a part. I'm lifting up my everything, but it's all I have to offer, and it's all I have to give. Two hands and one heart, one life to offer you. Two hands and one heart, that's what I give to you. Use me today, I know you can. Lord, I surrender to your plan. You made this heart, you made these hands. Take me and use me as I am. But it's all I have to offer, and it's all I have to give. Two hands and one heart, one life to offer you. Two hands and one heart, that's what I give to you. Two hands and one heart, one life to offer you. Two hands and one heart, that's what I give to you. That's what I give to you.
Thank you, choir. The flags are flying, the balloons are ready for release. It's a great day, one we've been planning and waiting for. I'm sure you'll conquer. I now invite Dr. Vijay Kumar R., Head Department of Commerce, to welcome the gathering.
A very good morning to all the dignitaries who are present on this online FDP program. Today is a remarkable day to start a wonderful session on the development of faculty, on the need of the hour. The topic being structural equation model with Amos and econometric analysis using EBUs. This particular faculty development program is meticulously designed to equip the teachers or the faculties of today to upskill themselves to a wonderful area of research and to broaden their horizon in their research process and to publish papers and to publish their thesis in various areas and how they could probably articulate the presentation of their research through these models and econometric analysis using e-books. At the very outset, I am pleasure to welcome the resource person and the chief guest of this particular FDP program, Sri Ankit. Yes, Dr. Ankit Saxena, for accepting the invitation and being with us and helping us to conduct a wonderful session on this FDP topic. Yes, sir, with great honor on behalf of the management, the department, and the people gathered here on this online platform, I extend a hearty welcome to you. I also take this opportunity to welcome Professor Father J.S.V. Thomas, the Financial Administrator and Faculty Department of Commerce, for extending his constant support. And he himself is a very exciteful and excited person about this FTP topic. Father, thank you for being with us this morning. We welcome you as well. I welcome the coordinators who are responsible for organizing such a wonderful topic and this FTP program. A special warm welcome to Dr. Aarti Singh and team for organizing this 7-day FDP program and wishing you all the very best for all the days of this particular program. We welcome you, Professor Dr. Aarti Singh. I also extend a warm welcome to all the dignitaries, faculty members of various institutions, various departments from Christie Jayanti College and across the city and across the globe and across the nation for this 7 days. May this particular FTP program bring immense knowledge, open up the epicenters of the brain to do things in a better way and present your papers and theses in a better way. Wishing everyone all the very best for this 7 days FTP program. Welcoming one and all, I remain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's indeed my honor and great privilege to welcome you as well. If your action inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. John Quincy Adams. Now, I request Reverend Father J.S.V. Thomas, Financial Administrator, Christie College, to render the inaugural address.
Dear respected Dr. Ankit Saxena, dear Dr. Vijaykumar sir, Department Head, Department of Commerce, the Program Coordinator, head by Dr. Aarti Singh, all my dear faculties, and it is one of the main called by Peter Sanch, the management guru of this, the main proponent of a kind of the learning organization, the very concept of his book, The Fifth Discipline, he clearly mentions whereby any organization whereby the learning happens, that is something unique and then very distinct. And then it's a kind of, the FTP for a week led by Dr. Andy Saxon. It's a kind of, we are gratefully, thankfully remembering of your genuine gesture of concern, extending your kind of 1 week of sharing the knowledge with us. And then we agree like the future of research is a kind of integrating more kind of technology in our research process. And research, it's a kind of a lifelong learning process. It is not an end, but it's a beginning every day. And such a kind of wonderful assistance from Dr. Ankit, such a great of resource persons to us. Thankfully, gratefully remembering all your kind of lectures and coming days. At the same time, the mental models, as we came to know by the Peterson and everything, right? The learning organization and the mental models kind of is we are developing kind of all this kind of research papers and everything kind of different models by structured equation modeling and through e-views and everything. It's great kind of assisting for us, for all the faculties from our college and all who are partaking this kind of FDP program. So wishing you all the best, all the faculties, and wishing you all the best, all the faculties for being part of this FTP, and most especially thankfully remember the program coordinators, Dr. Arti Singh and team, and then most especially our HOD, Dr. Vichigomar sir, for arranging this wonderful program. Wishing you all the best, and then God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Small cheer and great welcome makes a merry beginning. Now, I request Dr. Aarti Singh, Faculty Coordinator, to welcome the resource person and the chief guest for a day.
Thank you, ma'am. Speech is a power. Speech is to persuade, to convert, to compel. It is to bring another out of his bad sense into your good sense. Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's my immense pleasure to introduce you with our esteemed resource person of the day, Dr. Ankit Saxena. Dr. Ankit Saxena is currently working as an associate professor in Institute of Business Management, GLA University, Mathura. He is a director medalist from Dayalbagh Educational Institute, Dayalbagh, Agra. His academic interests are business paradigms of taxation, financial management, wealth management, and financial derivatives. Dr. Ankit has published a number of research papers and contemporary business case studies in US Case Center. He has also imparted consultancy. Dr. Ankit Saxena has also visited the academic institutions for interacting with the students, for imparting insights about emerging paradigms in the education, as well as motivating them for understanding the relevance of education in their career building. Respected sir, we are highly privileged to have you amongst us. Now, I would like to request you to take over the session.
Thank you, Aarti ma'am. Thank you so much. Just a minute. So first of all, very good morning to everyone, and sincere thanks to the, this FDP resource, this FDP coordinating committee for inviting me as a resource person for this wonderful 7 days interaction. And I would like to extend my thank to Dr. Vijay as well as the Father Jess for their, opening remarks for the session. And as very rightly said by sir, that today the time has come where you have to integrate technology, with the research, and that is where these kind of sessions are very, very imperative, and I guess very, very important. One thing just to begin with, because I just the program schedule that we have for this FDP goes like this, and I'll be trying and making sure that we adhere to the timeline and the session themes. But I would like to understand if some of you can quickly respond in the chat box. What is your understanding level of e-views? So some of you, those who are completely beginner, they can say beginner. Some of you, those who have worked on it, they are just joining this FDP for further sharpening their concepts. So they may say moderate knowledge, and if someone is having expertise, obviously they might be joining for some other reason, so they can also mention that thing, so they are well acquainted with the software. So just a quick few responses will help me to guide you further in that direction, because it will be helping me in terms of delivering my content. So when you say beginner, I'm getting few responses as beginner, so I will assume that it's a day one, so I'll be going with that thing. So majority of the responses that I'm getting, thank you so much for responding on the chat box. So majority of the responses that I'm getting is a beginner. So never an issue. It is always a good thing. We will start from the scratch. I'll go as deep as possible, as slow as possible, in this process, if you face any time, like if I'm going fast or if something is not clear, don't wait for too long, because then we'll be moving to some other topic. You can definitely chip in, you can raise your hand or you can put up your queries in the chat box. I'll be having my eyes on the chat box all the time. And because I'll be the one who will be taking care of all the sessions here, so that way it is very important that we somehow, in this uh, technical setup, we somehow connect with each other. That is very important for the learning. Otherwise, this should not turn up into a monologue, right? So I'll be going as slow and as deep as possible, so that you can understand all the basic terms. And what I've thought of today, that today I'll be preparing you for this entire session. And then at the by the end of the session, yes, definitely we'll work on the Amos, so that you can work on it. Yesterday Aarti ma'am has shared a link where you can download a demo version of the IBM Spaces Amos. It's a paid software. So at our university, we have taken the subscription of Amos. So that is a thing. Even the eViews is a paid software, but somehow we have a subscription of that as well. So we will be working on those database which we have at the university setup. If you want to learn, so I'll advise you. I've shared both the links. For eViews, will be starting, I guess, from day 5. But today on the Amos, I hope you must have requested and downloaded that demo version. That link was shared yesterday. If not done yet, you can do it in the meantime, because I'll be coming to the practical part in next 20-25 minutes. So let us begin with the basic part here. That what do you understand by structure equation modeling? I won't teach much of the theory, because all content is already there on the various portals. But I just want to develop a basic understanding, so that we all are at the same page, that what we are going to learn and how we are going to move on. So that is the thing. And because there are few basic terminologies which are supposed to be very, very clear to each and everyone before moving further. Because if I'll be using a term latent variable or observed variable, so you must know that what I actually mean by those terms. So there's a type endogenous variable or exogenous variable. So we must understand what these terms are all about. So next 15 minutes, my idea is that by 11:30, we'll be completing these basic terminologies, and then we'll move on to the Amos, how does it work and how we can work on it. So very first thing is, before moving to Amos, let us understand what is a structural equation modeling and what is the relevance. And as Dr. Vijay, very rightly pointed out, that today the time has come where every university, every academic institution is paying a very huge amount of focus on research. And if you do research, you have to be, well acquainted with the, varieties of tools. So for example, if you want to write a good quality research paper, you want to publish it in Q1, Q2, or A star or A category of ABDC journal. I'm talking about management stream right now, so, or the commerce part. So then in that case, what happens, we have to make sure that face validity of our paper is very, very important. Now, what do you mean by face validity? Face validity is like the very first thing, the reviewer goes through an article that has been submitted to their, journal database. They want to see the quality of the, work that has been done. And the quality of work, by default, will come from the kind of analysis, the quality of literature review that has been done. So it is very, very imperative that we all, pay a very detailed attention to these things. Let me tell you, we don't have this part covered in this FDP. Somewhere next time, if we connect, we can have an FDP on the systematic or structured literature review as well. We tend to take it very lightly, that literature review is a very easy part. We'll just go through some papers and we'll just, pick some lines and rephrase and then rewrite it. But that's not the exact way of doing the literature review. There are softwares for that purpose also. So what I mean, when you use VOSViewer, BiblioShiny, these kind of thing in the literature review, that brings beauty to the literature review. Similarly here, when you're talking about data analysis, so obviously there are various tools, but if you are putting up some good, analytical models supported with some very good, analysis, and the methodology is, great, then your paper's face validity goes up and the chances of, rejection goes down, which is very important. Otherwise, in general, nowadays, when we submit a paper, the desk rejections are very high. because they say that, okay, this is a very simple and layman kind of paper, which has nothing, much more advanced methodological interference. So that is where the Dr. Vijay was spot on, that we have to be, well acquainted with these things. So this structural equation modeling has been very popular. In last 5-6 years, we were seeing there's a software called PLS. Still, it is very popular. But nowadays, people have started realizing that Amos is still better. Reason being, because in Amos we consider the pyramid, the normality assumption is there. So PLSSM was partial least square, has limitation, in terms of their statistical generalization. So where the data is even not normally distributed, then we can also apply PLSSM. But here we are working on a decent database, and the inferences are actually generalizable. So the Amos has regained, I'll say, its publication power. So recently, if you are submitting a paper with, something that has been done with this structural equation modeling using Amos, it has a better chance of publication for sure. So it is a technique, which combines various statistical method to analyze complex relationships, among observed and latent variable. I'll explain you that in a while. So it basically combines a lot of things. You can do confirmatory factor analysis here, you can do multiple regressions here, you can do path analysis here, and you can develop a model and you can test it. So sometime you must have seen something like this. So nowadays, when you're submitting a paper, you develop a paper like this, and you have a paper like this, and then you have a diagram like this, and this is being tested here. So let me just explain you a few things quickly here. So the variable or the construct, I should call it construct or factor, which is in this oval shaped, that is known as latent variable. So we are not observing it directly in our questionnaire. So for example, poor work situation is one factor that I want to analyze. It's an example of HR, by the way. I've just picked the diagram, not worrying about the problem that we are talking about. So you can have any domain specific issue here. So the poor work situation is a factor or construct. We have asked our respondents 6 questions on this particular construct. So we have asked, are you being provided breaks? Are you getting enough time? Are you feeling well when you're working in the organization? Are your ideas being weighed? Do you think that you're doing some useful work? Do you do what is expected? Do you think that you're doing something rational? So this is all the work situation kind of questions. So in your questionnaire, you will be having the questions on these, let's say 6 items or the variable. So item, variable, questions, they are same. The very first thing that we are understanding, okay, if we are having a questionnaire, in questionnaire we'll be asking 6 questions, and these 6 questions, we may call them item, we may call them the variable. So these are the item, variable, or questions that you will be having in your questionnaire. Now, what these questions are trying to measure? These questions are trying to measure the situation of the work situation there, how good the work situation is there, how bad the work situation is there. So that is depending on the kind of questions that you're using. If you're asking them in a negative sense, Likert scale is designed in a way, so that will be a poor work situation. You may ask these questions in a different way also. Now, what I'm trying to make you understand, that in this case, the poor work situation is a latent or unobserved variable. This is not being measured directly by a questionnaire. The 6 questions that we are asking, they are the observed variable, and they are being shown in a rectangle here. So this is the notation that we will be using while working on the Amos. Amos is basically a graphical user interface. Here we don't have the data sheets like Excel or the SPSS that we have worked upon. In this case, we'll be working on a graphical interface. We'll be drawing a model, and then a model will be tested, and their fitness will be checked. So all those things, many things can be done. Let me see how much we can cover in the span of 4 days on this topic, but I'll try to go as deep as possible. So by now, what we have understood, that the questions that we ask, they are known as the observed variable that are being observed, and in Amos we will be putting them in this rectangle shape. And with the help of these 6 questions, what we are measuring a work situation, and this is a latent variable which is not observed directly. So the questions that we are asking will give us an idea about this particular latent variable. And one more thing that you can see here, that every observed variable has been associated with an error term. So what we assume that, okay, this point can explain this, but there has to be, some disturbance or error term associated with each observed variable. So that disturbance or error term is also, plotted in the diagram in the model here. So it is basically, if I say that there's only one variable, let me just say that feeling well is the only one variable. So there might be, some error in this particular variable that is being used to observe indirectly some, factor. So what error chance is there, that is also added in the model, and that is what we do with each and every, observed variable. You can see that every observed variable has been associated with an error term. So we want to capture that error as well, that, okay, even after considering all these observed variables, there might be something, that is causing some error. So we want to capture that as well. So that is where it is known as the error term. Yes, I cannot read your full name, but this is the unexplained part that we are not able to cover with the help of selected, questions. Just a minute. So in this case, this is how, the diagram will be made. And this is the kind of work that we want to work on the Amos. So by now, what we have understood that we'll be working on some this complicated kind of structure. And see, normally what happens in normal kind of analysis in SPSS, what we would have done, depression is depending on poor work situation and work-life balance. So someone who's suffering from these two problems, may be, suffering with the depression. And what happens here that, okay, depression is depending on work situation and work-life balance issue. So this is one regression analysis. So depression is a function of poor work situation and work-life balance. So depression is depending on the poor work situation and work-life balance. But this model is having the layer. Yes, please. Someone is on the mic, I guess.
Yes, I have muted them. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you. So another layer that we can add here is about the poor work engagement. Someone who is suffering from depression, will not be able to work better. So we have another, regression working here, that is poor work engagement is a function of depression now. So we have another dependent variable, which is depending on depression, which was an independent variable in the previous part of the analysis. So in general, if we would have worked on the SPSS, probably we might have, used two regression part here. So one to cover this part here, and then to cover this second part of the equation. But in Amos, we can develop a complex model, as I said, and this complex model, can be tested at one go. That is the beauty of this particular technique, which allows you to, study even the layers of the relationships. This is not limited to 2-stage or 3-stage. You can have as many as layers of relationship. However, the more complicated model you draw, it will be very complicated for you to understand, initially. So I'll advise you, if you are a beginner, do not overcomplicate your model in the, in the charm of making it very charming. It will be very, very disaster for you. So do not complicate it in the beginning. Let's start with 4, 5, 6 factors model, and then try and expand it to the further things. When you are mastering the things at a smaller scale, then you'll be able to scale it higher. That is the basic formula. So this is what we are going to do. Now, what are the basic applications of the SEM? So someone dropped a message on my email ID that they wanted to learn about the moderation and some other analysis. So I'll try and cover that topic on a special request though. So there are 4 basic types of the analysis that we can do in the structural equation modeling. This kind of diagram, that is known as the path analysis. So in general, we need to understand, various things can be done here. And path analysis is basically, you see there are which kind of variables we see on the diagram here. These are latent variable or observed variables. We can quickly respond in the chat box also. These are the latent variables or the observed variables?
Latent variables, sir.
These are the observed variables here because they are in the boxes. So latent is going to be in the oval shape. So that is not being observed. So something that is there in the rectangle will always be a observed variable. So that is something that has been observed. The scores are there in the sheet. Even today, I've shared one sheet like that, and where we have a lot many observed data. So we'll be working on this path analysis in the beginning. So I'll try and show you the basic methodology of building a path diagram, and then how do we read that. So what we are doing here? What we are doing here, we are developing a path analysis here, and there are multiple kind of regressions that we are talking about. So when we say depression, depression is depending on perceived stress, violence, and anxiety. And this is arrows are coming from all across. Perceived stress is a factor of violence, and anxiety is another factor of violence. So lot many. This will be a tricky question if I ask you how many dependent and independent equations are there, because we have lot many such equations here. So even child development is finally is a dependent variable, which is depending on stress, depression, and anxiety. So that is where you can have layers of such relationships, and you can check whether this is holding true with what are the path coefficients here. I'll be discussing about all these estimates maybe tomorrow, but these kind of output you will get with the help of path analysis. So in path analysis, we are just seeing, it's a kind of testing multiple levels of relationships in the form of one graphical interface. So we'll be working on this maybe today itself. And then another thing that we can do here is called the confirmatory factor analysis. So what is factor analysis? Let me just explain you that first. So we must have heard of exploratory factor analysis. So let's say I had a questionnaire. I had 20 questions in that questionnaire. I want to see which questions are getting similar responses, so they can be clubbed together. So that is what we do in the EFA. So EFA, what it does, it groups the questions that you're asking in a questionnaire. We do it in the SPSS. So EFA tells you that, okay, question number 1, question number 5, question number 11, they fall in the same category because the respondents are responding on these questions in a similar way. So they might have something in common. So what is common there? That is the factor. So we assign them some name, and this is what we do in the EFA. Suppose you have adopted a questionnaire from someone's already published work, and you want to, let's say this is the example that I've just picked it from somewhere, Google Images. So EL1, EL2, EL3, EL4, they are measuring some love and affection, some kind of that thing. So if we are measuring this EL1, 2, 3, 4, so they should have a clear-cut association with the variable or the factor that we are trying to measure. So here love is basically a latent variable which is being unobserved. It is being observed indirectly by these observed variables. And as I told you, every individual this observed variable is associated with a error term. So in this part, the confirmatory factor analysis will actually help you to understand whether these things, these factors that you're measuring for one particular latent variable, are they actually aligning with that? So sometimes it happens you picked up on a scale and you're just trying to replicate that scale in your thing, but you need to confirm that, okay, these items are actually measuring this thing. If time will permit, I will definitely add on one topic here, which is very important. That is how to check discriminant and convergent validity. So what we get in this CFA output, we will be able to get some validity parameters from the data. So I'll explain you that thing. It will take 15-20 minutes, but that is very much important nowadays, that how do we measure the convergent and divergent discriminant validities of it. So we'll discuss that part when we'll be on the Amos. As of now, I'm just showing you what can be done in the Amos. So we started with this complicated model. We'll not be making all the time these complicated models. We understood a simple path analysis can be done on the Amos. One, we could do the confirmatory factor analysis. We'll do it in our sessions tomorrow. And then this is a very complicated thing. I have not done yet this thing, but I aim to do it someday. This is called latent growth modeling. So here what happens, one particular variable is being observed again and again over various Nandini, I'll take that validity part, maybe tomorrow and maybe day after tomorrow for sure. So we'll discuss that part over there itself. Otherwise, it will be delaying today's deliverables that I want to cover today. This question is due on me. I'll remember your name and this question for sure. Thank you so much. So this, model, latent growth modeling, it's a very interesting part that you are observing a, respondent and you are taking their responses over time periods. So it's a, a longitudinal study. So you are taking data of well-being at time 1, time 2, time 3, and you are also measuring some dependent or independent variable related to that on the same time frames. And you want to see how that, let's say if someone has joined a program, at the university level, we can do this. So once the student is coming up, and what is his emotional intelligence, what is his subject expertise, obviously the moment we deliver our teachings to them, all these employability skills and this IQ, EQ all should go up. And if it is not going up, then probably something is missing in our education part. So we can measure their variables, some selected variables over the time, maybe at the end of each semester, and then we can apply such kind of analysis over there. I've not done it personally, so I have no exposure of practically doing this, but this is something that I aim to do in some time, because it will be a longitudinal kind of research. And in general, all of you understand, as a teacher, we try and collect data and then just run it in the model and publish the paper. It will require a lot of dedication, because you will be conducting that research again and again over the period of time. So the similar set of respondents, will be giving responses over the duration, and then that will be modeled, and that can be done in the Amos as well. So another very important thing, which is very, very common, and I got a query regarding this topic as well, that is moderation and mediation analysis. So I'll just go through quickly with the help of this diagram, you'll understand better. So there's a dependent variable, which is depending on this independent variable. So there are two ways of looking at mediator and moderator analysis. This diagram helps you to remember that thing easily. So if I say independent variable leads to this mediator variable, and then mediator variable leads to the dependent variable. So it is a mediation analysis. So, what I'm saying that, okay, y is depending on x, this y is depending on x, but x is leading to, let's say, z. So x leads to z and z leads to y. So that is where it becomes a mediation analysis. However, there might be certain factors which are moderating that relationship, that y is depending on x, and this relationship is being moderated by their gender, their incomes, or something like that, any demographic or anything, which makes sense. So that moderation is a different part. Moderation does not come in between that relationship. Moderation, is just affecting that relationship. So it is not mediating. It is just moderating that relationship. For example, if we say that, okay, GDP is depending on, let's say, monsoon. So GDP has a bearing on the monsoon. So that is a relationship. And now this relationship might be mediated with certain, factors. And it is possible that there might be some moderating economic variables which might be affecting the overall GDP. So eventually we need to understand and analyze. And let me tell you basic idea that you should not make any variable as per your wish, a moderation or mediation kind of thing. You have to have proper citation, literature review for that particular purpose. We will go further in this part. I'll be skipping this for now. When I'll come and discuss about this thing, I'll explain you the entire thing. How do we measure the direct and indirect effect? And what do you mean by direct and indirect effect? So in mediation analysis, there's a lot of things, which may happen. So this factor is leading directly to this factor. This is called direct effect. And this factor you can see here is going through this. So this is called indirect effect. So we will discuss about all that thing. It is mediation here. And when we talk about moderation, so in moderation, basically, there might be two types of moderation. If you can spot a difference here. So this independent variable is leading to a mediating variable, and this mediating variable is leading to the dependent variable. And we have a moderating variable here. So that way, the mediation has been done, and then moderation comes into picture. So it is called mediated moderation. And in this diagram, if you see, the first moderator variable, affects this relationship of independent variable and the mediator variable, and then mediator variable leads to the final dependent variable. So here, the moderation comes in between before the mediation comes into the effect. So it is called moderated mediation, while in this case, it is a mediated moderation. So you can have multiple types of problems. You can have simple mediation analysis, you can have simple moderation analysis, you can have mediated moderation or moderated mediation. So this is all what can be done. So we have done with the basic part that I wanted to build the basic understanding on. So everyone is okay till this point. If you have any quick queries, you can ask me right now. We have still 20 minutes to go with the session. By now, everyone is okay with me. You're getting the things that I'm explaining. So we have not. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your response. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. So now what will happen,
Hello,
once
sir.
Yes, please.
Can you go to the earlier slide, the one you were showing just no, next to that. Here in the mediated moderation, you have shown independent variable. That means two independent variables are operating for this one.
This is basically this should have been a moderated variable.
That's what I felt. This should have been a moderator variable.
Yeah, this should have been a moderated variable.
Correct. Thank
which
you,
is
sir.
independently moderating this way.
Yes. So that is again an independent variable.
Yeah, that is again an independent variable.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Which is acting as a moderator here.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So now let us quickly understand what is the Amos software is all about. It's a, as I told you in the beginning, it's a software which we use for analyzing these complex relationships. Quick features when you see this is a graphical interface. We'll be just moving to that. We do model fitness, model fit assessment, estimation, multiple group analysis can be done. Even it allows you to handle the missing data. So there is a likelihood method which will help us in work on that data that is missing in the data. So it can be integrated with SPSS also. That is all the utilities we have in the Amos, and it is better than some of the other software because obviously it can help you in varieties of the problems. And as I gave you that basic example, all that mediation, moderation, path analysis, or that longitudinal kind of growth modeling, all can be done with the help of the Amos here. So this is the beauty of the software. So this is one important thing that we should keep in mind. So let me just quickly, in next 2-3 minutes, I'll just brush up a few things that we have already discussed. So latent and observed variable, we have understood that something that is going to be in oval shape will be a latent, which is not observed. And something that is going to be in squares will be taken as observed variables. So latent and observed variable we are clear with. I'll share this material to you somewhere. If we talk about structural model and measurement model, though this topic will be covering later. So if we talk about structural model basically captures only basic latent variables. What is the exact relationship between the selected factors there? And while the measurement model that you want to test, has the individually, connecting there, explaining or observed variable also. So this is the simple structural model. This is the basic, normally if you search, like you search TEM, technology acceptance model, or you search service quality models, leading to the satisfaction. So you will have the basic model. This is called a structural model. And then when you want to measure it, then you will have to add the observed variables attached to these latent variables, and then you can measure it. So this is the structural model and this is the measurement model. We'll be discussing about that later. So if you basically, this I have explained you, rectangles and the ovals. If you want to click a single arrow, that means there's a causal relationship. So, this variable is leading to this. And if we have two-sided arrows, that means covariance we are trying to show. Error term can be added together. Even error terms can be covariate, together. We'll be doing all that stuff on the software directly. Don't worry about that. Standardized and unstandardized things I'll explain you on the model when we'll do it. Exogenous and endogenous variable is one thing that we normally, come up with this term. So it is very simple to remember that exogenous variables are basically the independent variables, which are not being affected by other variables in the model. So that is what we call exogenous variable. So all the starting, variables that you'll see on the left, normally they are the exogenous variables. When they lead to some, dependent variable, so some variable which is depending on some other variable, they are known as endogenous variables. So sometimes just to flaunt the research things and all. So people are using this exogenous and endogenous terminologies more in the Amos. So you should not get confused with that. Endogenous variable is basically your dependent variable, whose values are actually determining the other variables in the model, while exogenous variables are the independent variable. So on the left, I remember this way, on the left, we have the exogenous variables, the independent variables, which lead to certain dependent or endogenous variables. So this is the basic theory part that I wanted to cover. I think we are good to go on the software. So let me just quickly reach to the software. So once you open the software, this Abhaji, you can install any version of the Amos. There's no such issue with that thing. I'm using right now Amos 23. I've not upgraded this one. So we have 28, 29 also working here. So whatever version is available to you, basic interface will be the same. So you can install any version. There's a utility of installing something above 24 because at the end, I'll be sharing some plugins with you. So there's a gentleman called James Gaskin, and he has designed and prepared a lot of Amos plugins, which enhances the beauty of the work, which makes the entire analysis very easy. So I'll not be doing that easy part in the beginning because then you people will not learn the basics. I'll be doing that in the last day 4. I planned for that thing. So we'll be doing that thing in the last day. So there are plugins there, and most of the plugins are compatible with the version 24 and above. So if you want to use all the plugins, it is better if you can somehow, get a version that is 24.0 or above. So that will help you. There are plugins, which are working in this version that I'm using right now. So we can use those plugins in lower versions also, but 24 and above, will be functional with all the plugins that he has developed. So we'll discuss that thing later. I guess that serves your query. Now, this is the, interface that you will see the moment you open the, thing. So you don't have any number. Obviously, we don't have any data file attached to it right now. So even when we attach the data file, we won't see the numbers. So we'll not be getting anything here as of now. So how do we go with this? I told you that it is a graphical user interface. This is what we call GUI. Thank you, Ava ma'am. So we will now, start working on it. We have still 10, 12 minutes, so quick things will do. So let me start with the first thing. If you want to draw a latent variable, you can click here. This is the, on the extreme left, you see there's a, icon. You can quickly click here. In general, this is the A4 setting of the paper. I normally, prefer to work on a canvas, which is more wide. So before doing anything, I normally go to view and I click on the interface properties. Those who are not able to work on the Amos right now, what they can do, they can take the screenshots of various steps that we are doing. That will help you to replicate things, and recording is also there. But I think if you can take in between screenshots of these steps, that will be easier option for you. So first of all, we click on this interface properties. There's a shortcut key that is Control+I. The moment you use it more, you can be well versed with those shortcut keys. So interface properties, and I normally prefer to work on this landscape legal. So this allows me to work on the entire canvas here. So when I apply here, so it is the chart area is better. Otherwise, there's something like you're working on the A4 sheet, and it is meant for that thing, which we will definitely copy and paste on the A4 sheet further. But as of now, let us have the entire work area, which is good. So if you want to draw an observed variable, you can click here. And let me tell you, I'll be telling you shortcuts also, but today I'm just giving you the basic idea. All that thing can be done easily. There are shortcut smarter ways, which we'll do tomorrow. Today I'm just, okay, just now, ma'am. So what I did right now, I just want to remove it. What I did, just a step back, I was on the, something like this. The moment I opened the Amos, I was on this kind of sheet. So this was a A4 kind of layout. And if I draw a model, the space of the screen is not well optimized. So what I normally do in the beginning of the work, I go on this is an optional step. This is not mandatory. You can work on this, screen as well, which is okay and fine. most of the YouTube channels you'll see, they will be guiding you on that screen as well. So I normally prefer to work on this wider space canvas. So for that, I go to the interface properties, Control+I is the shortcut, and then you select this landscape legal. So the landscape is obviously going to rotate this page, and then it will be available to you that way. So it's the better way, I believe. So you just click here, and this gives you the entire area to work on. You can draw a bigger model because if you're making a complicated model, and in that portrait mode, it is slightly overlapping. So it is better to use the entire screen over here. So that is one thing that we have done. You can see here we have the observed variable. We can draw the observed variable. So we can draw the observed variable. The moment you have clicked on this rectangles, you can draw as many as rectangles you want to do. The only thing that you will notice that 3 times I draw the rectangle, and every time, though I did it deliberately, but even in the perfection of the formatting, you won't be able to draw the exact kind of rectangles. So there's an option for that thing. This scissor is used for erasing the object. So something that you're not liking, you can erase. You can actually duplicate an object. So this is the Xerox kind of button is there in the 4th row, if you see. So this is the duplicate object button, which is nice. So you can click on the duplicate button, and then you can draw a duplicate of that particular thing. So this helps you. So this way you can make identical, rectangles, which will be very, see, model is okay, but you have to present it in a very effective way. So this duplicate button, keeps the harmony and sync in that particular formatting. So that you can do. If you want to draw some latent variable, you can have the latent variable here. So if I placed it here, I want to move it. So there's a truck here close to that Xerox button. So you can move the object, click here. Now you can move this button like this. And now you can, refer to the arrows over here. So you can see how you're trying to, move these arrows. So like this.
So,
yes.
Can you please go ahead with again this Xerox option, because when I'm trying, it's not drawing again.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
So let me just click here. Right now my click is on the arrow. You can see which button is selected here. So I can click on the Xerox button here. That is the duplicate objects. And the moment I click here, it has to be highlighted. The one thing that you should notice, it is in my screen, it is slightly bluer. So click here, and then whatever object you want to, duplicate, you just click here and then keep pressing your mouse pad and drag it anywhere you want to wish. So one thing, you want to duplicate this oval, click here. The moment you click, that red button is gone, and then you drag it here. So
done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I just drew these unnecessarily. There's another thing which is like I just draw these arrows very vaguely. So what I could do, I could touch up here. So there's a touch up a variable option available. So it has kept all the intricacies in mind while designing. So we know that all of us may not be the perfect artist. So the touch up variable will help us. Touch up always helps, I guess. So what we'll do, we'll just quickly click here on all the variables, and you see this brings the diagram in better sync. However, in real life, you should not be using this method. There's a third option available here, which is better, and that we'll be using more frequently in our analysis from tomorrow onwards. So what I'll be doing, this is the button, the third button. So here it is drawing a latent variable, and you can add indicators to that latent variable. So I'll be just clicking here. The latent variable is drawn. Another click, it adds one observed variable to it. Another click adds another observed variable to it. Another click will add another, and so on. You can have, if you want to have 5, you can click 2 more times and it will give you 5. And if you want to rotate those things, so there's a button here that rotate the indicators of the things. So below the truck, below that in the 5th line, you have that rotate the indicators of a latent variable. You can rotate them. So I'm clicking here, and then you come and click here. So you can rotate them as per the convenience, as per the diagram in the space that we want to optimize. Somewhere we'll be keeping something at the bottom. Sometime we'll be keeping it on the left. The variables at the top, top will be having the observed variables at the top. The variables on the right will have the observed variables on the right. So we can do that. So all of that thing can be done easily here. So I'll not advise you to use this straight away like that. These are the novice practices. Even the beginners, should work on this part because this is easier to work on. Right. So let me just, if I want to select everything that is there, so I can just quickly click on this, select all objects. All the fingers are raised here. So this is going to select everything. So it is selecting everything. If I want to deselect everything, so I can click on closed fingers. And then if I want to select one particular thing, so I can select one particular thing. The thing that you will touch, click, will be get selected and marked as blue. So these are the basic things that we are doing. As of now, there's no fun doing all this. So I'll just quickly, open a new sheet here. And I don't want to save anything. I didn't work something significant. So I'll be just moving to another sheet. I've just clicked on the Control N that allowed me to open a new sheet. Now I want to get some data into this. So we have 5-6 minutes. I'll be completing that part in that time. So first thing is we want to bring some data into this model. I want to bring some data in this model. So how do we do that? So there are two ways of working on it. Majority of the options are available on the left. So I'll be using that left part more, and I'll advise you to do that. Though I know the shortcut is Control+D, because if you want to go on the file and you see that data file, that Control+D allows you to attach any file into the system. So you can directly click on Control+D. You can come from this drop-down menu of file, or directly you can click here. So either way, the way you want, you can work on it. So I'm just clicking here on the data file. Control+D would have taken you on the same option. Now it is asking you for the file name, the file that you want to attach. So I've shared one file with the Aarti ma'am, and she has shared in the group. So I know in my system that file is in which folder. I'll just reach to that folder. It is not visible here because by default it is selecting the text files. So first you need to go and select .sav, that are SPSS files. And the moment you see that file will be visible to you. If you have something in Excel, you can select Excel versions. If you have something in Lotus or MS Access or some other formats, that can be retrieved as well. Majority of times either we'll be having our data in Excel or we'll be having our data in SPSS. So as of now, the data is in SPSS. I'm selecting this option, and I'll just click here. And there are 140 observations in that file. It has selected. If you want to view the data, you can view the data as well. So if you click on the view data, it will show you the data in that format, which is there. So it might take some time because it will open the SPSS, I guess, now. Okay, so I'm just stopped that. It is opening the SPSS here. So SPSS will take some time to load. So I'm just skipping that. Once the file is open, I'll show you that. Clicking on OK now. The moment you click here, nothing happens and nothing comes up. But the file has come in this, Amos template. So you will click here on this. This is the file that has opened now. So this is the data view that you can see that this is the data view and how it is looking like. So we have some data of performance goal achievement and other things like that, which is okay. So now if you click here, third line, so list variables in the data set. So the moment you click here, you'll see whatever variables were there in that data sets, they all are visible to you now. So they are available in your Amos interface now. There's another option here that is list variables in the model. So we have drawn nothing right now. So there will be nothing in the model right now. And this is the title thing. If you want to add a title here, so you can add a title at the top and you can mention whatever you want to mention here. So it's a demo day one. So that is, if you wish to add it here, so it will take the title at the top itself like that. So now, if I want to draw, I'll just quickly draw a simple regression equation path analysis kind of thing here. So let me draw some latent variable. I'll just quickly draw a latent variable. I'll take a duplicate of this let me just take duplicates of this, and let me just add one more thing like this. And I'm adding these variables to, show that these two variables are leading to that particular variable. And let me assume that these two variables have some kind of relationship as well. And let me just quickly use toucher, which allows, things to
Excuse
look
me,
little bit.
sir. You said
Yes.
you are drawing latent variable, but the
Sorry,
latent
I
variable
was drawing
can't
an
be
observed
drawn
variable.
on.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. I was showing an observed variable. So
Okay.
let me say that performance goal and mastery, they are leading to achievement. I'm just randomly drawing it. So this is how what we have done now. We have dragged 3 variables from the data in our model. So we can quickly now check it. When we click here, now we see okay. So we have drawn 3 of the variables in the data sets. I'll just zoom it further for you. This is the variables in the data sets, and this is the variables in the models. I'll just put it here at the bottom. So this is the variables in the just a minute, it is lagging a bit. Yeah, this should look good. So the variables in the models, you can see we have drawn 3 variables in our model, and we have a lot many variables in the data set. So by now, what we have learned today, we have learned the basics of terminologies of the IBM Amos. We are about to start a journey in the software. So we have understood the basic graphical interface here. How do we get our data file into the software? How do we draw a basic path analysis diagram? That's what we have done. And if the basic utilities, I've shown you the basic utilities, we'll be drawing even more complex diagrams in the coming days, in next 3 days. As of now, I guess that should help you. One thing, I'll just quickly just sum up in one line here, that if you want to, go to the analysis. So if you want to go on the analysis properties, you click here. So you will see that by default, the maximum likelihood is there. And there's a option of estimating means and intercepts. So if you have something in missing, your data is having some missing values. So you can click here. You should always check here that you must know that whether your data has certain missing values or not. If you have missing values over here, so please check here. If you know that your data has no missing values, there's no fun doing that. And then there are a lot of things that can be done. But if you just quickly see on the output, so you can quickly, if I just show you the standardized estimates and squared multiple correlation, which will give me the coefficient of determination. I'll not cover other things right now. So if I just close it here like this, and if I just run it, it will ask me to save my file. So I need to, give that, save that file and then rerun that particular analysis. So that will give me the output. We'll do that part in the tomorrow's session. I will start from this analysis only. Yes, I will definitely explain that moderator part. Geeta.
So the first page of the question paper.
Sir, how did you transfer the variables from the model, from the list to the model?
Yeah, this is a question in the chat box as well. I'll just quickly do that again. So see what I'll do. I'll just quickly remove all this. We need not to type it. Please remember, we need not to type it as of now. We will drag it. I'll show you how we did it. So this was the model that we draw, and now this is in this part we come to the, right now we have nothing in our model, so the model is empty, right? So I'm just putting it here, and now this is the button that I will click, which is variable which are there in the data set. So I'll click here. Now whatever, I didn't have any theoretical building for this model, so I just went with that. Okay, performance of goals. I just dragged it like this. From variables in the data set, I just dragged number here.
So sorry to disturb you.
Yeah, please.
So how to enter that the data center data will be available, or we need to be enter the data in the data center, sir?
For that purpose, we need to attach one file here. So the first step was, attaching this file from this option, Control+D. So we selected a data file from my folder where I saved that file. So I knew where that file was. So I just, uploaded that file, selecting the, spaces version. I just selected this file. So this file was attached to the Amos. So Amos will never show you the numbers. It is a graphical user interface. It will never show you any number.
So thing is like, sir, we have to enter the data in a separate SPSS file. Then later on, we have to import it to Amos.
Very right. Very right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
It will be integrating your, SPSS or Excel data.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And then we have, once you attach the file, you will see the variables in the data set like this. And then you can drag. So let's say I said mastery, I want to drag here. And then I want to say achieve. So achievement, let's say, is my dependent variable. So what I'm doing from the data set in the variables, I'm just dragging those numbers to the model. So this is the way we actually do that.
So can we type it? Latent variable, can we type it?
There'll be, I'll be giving you certain situations where we'll type it. In typing, the only issue is if you're typing something, sometime, the caps error or other things might come in the picture, spacing or some issues. So that will not be a good idea. So when you want to work on a data, number which is already observed in your data set, it is always good to, drag it. So when you have something in, there'll be, there'll be hundreds of the variables like that. How many variables you'll type?
No, I'm saying, sir, latent variable which you are going to do it. No? So
This is in latent variable we have to type.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Then how to do that?
And in other terms we will type.
Okay.
And we have this plugin that I've installed. I guess this will be available in your thing also. So unobserved variables can be, named, or even the other terms can be named with this plugin also, which I'll tell you in the tomorrow session.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we should close it by because the time is over. So,
Sir, is there a problem with this data set? Because once I try to run the model, it's showing there is an error.
Which problem? Which data set?
The same one. Once I start running this, like when we go to this output wala option, then we have to find out standard estimate and square and multiple square.
We'll do it tomorrow, ma'am. Don't worry. We'll do it tomorrow.
Okay.
So as of now, today, the idea was to acquaint all the participants with the basic terms, explain the basic, graphical user interface of this software. And we have learned how to get data here. And tomorrow onwards, we'll be doing, first of all, we'll do the path analysis. Time will permit, we'll complete the confirmatory factor analysis too. And then on the next day, we'll be doing mediation and moderation and their direct indirect effect. And then last day, I planned for the plugins which are there for model fitness and other summary statistics. So this is how.
But is it due to that error term is not defined? That's why model is not running?
Yeah, that's why it is not coming.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you.
Sir, I have only one doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, one doubt.
Yes.
Is it mandatory that we should have a clean data or normal data set?
Data set, technically, see, well, if you want to run a structural equation modeling, normally the thumb rule is like that. For example, if you have 20, variables in your data, 20 variables means 20 questions. So here's another, books that you will read. So they have mentioned at least there should be 10 times of the responses. So if you're working on 20 observed variable, so there has to be at least 200 responses if you want to get some concrete results. However, I've read and even cited some of the papers which allows to have 6 times of the responses. So if you're working on 20 variables model, 20 observed variables model, so then you can have at least 120 responses. Because if you have 20 questions that you are asking, and if you have a sample size which is not more than 120, 6 times at least, your results will not come appropriate. That will be a problem. So that is the standard answer for that thing. At least 6 times, ideally, if close to 8 to 10 times of total number of observed variable will be a great thing.
Sir, can we transpose the construct also in the same manner?
No, constructs will be plotted in a latent variable, and then their names we will assign. So that problem we'll be doing on the confirmatory factor analysis tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And
sir,
one
can
question
we-
is there that normality of the data is a prerequisite. Yes. Normality we can check also. I'll tell you how to check. And that will, yeah, I've noted down that request, sir. The moderation part I'll definitely put in my.
Sir, can we get a recording of the session? So we can
For that,
practice
you need
it?
to connect with the coordinators.
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir,
you
we
will be getting.
You will be getting. Okay, thank you.
Sir, one last question.
Sure.
Can you please share the link or something where we can find out what is the standard values, like whatever the beta value we'll get after running the model? How can we define it that this is the standard, or we are running this correct model? I can read it somewhere from somewhere.
Some kind of content I'll provide to you, by tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
By this during this entire FDP, you will
Yes,
provide.
definitely.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, sir.
सर कंफर्मेटरी फैक्टर एनालिसिस करने से पहले मेंटल हम एसपीएसएस में एक्सप्लोरेटरी फैक्टर एनालिसिस करें या हम डायरेक्ट एमोस में कंफर्मेटरी फैक्टर एनालिसिस कर सकते हैं?
This is a very difficult, very common question that is asked in every FDP that I normally participate with. So see, there's a different purpose of doing EFA and CFA altogether. So in EFA, what we do, EFA, we don't know what are the grouping of variables. So I have designed a questionnaire, I've developed a scale. I don't know which variable will be clubbed with which variable, to form a factor. So EFA is run for that purpose. So when you have a scale, you don't know the grouping of the variables. So EFA should be done for that thing. Now, what happens sometime in the papers I've seen, people have applied EFA and CFA together also. But CFA has a very different, approach. CFA, what it does, you have selected, certain observed variables with the help of which you are measuring a latent variable. So CFA tells you whether this is correct or not. So it is a confirmatory factor analysis. You're not exploring which factor, will be combined with these variables. But in CFA, we know what are the variables. We know which, factor they lead to. I just want to confirm it. So when you are adopting a questionnaire from some research paper, you're modifying certain scale. So the scale is there, but you just modified with some tweaking of certain items. You just want to confirm it's not deviating too much. So the confirmatory factor analysis has a different purpose. So EFA, yes, definitely we do it in the SPSS. We can run that KMO and other things, factor loading and all in the SPSS, but CFA is more, used. I guess you got the answer what I'm trying to say.
Radhiva?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We are truly honored to have you with us today. Your expertise and are an inspiration to us all, and we are grateful for the opportunity to benefit from your insights. The way to develop the best that is in a person by appreciation and encouragement. I now request Dr. Chandrakala, Faculty Coordinator, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Gratitude makes sense of our past, bring peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Respected Father J.S.P. Thomas, Financial Administrator, Professor Vijay Kumar R., Head Department of Commerce, eminent resource person of the day, dear participants from the various colleges across the globe, and faculty members, I deemed it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. A very good afternoon to one and all who are present here. Strong leadership is the founder for the success, and without you, that would not be possible. One such blessing to all of us is our dear financial administrator, Reverend Father J.S.P. Thomas. We truly thank you, Father, for being the strong pillars of support and encouragement for all of us. Leader is one who leads us in a great path always. One such leader is our head of the department, Professor Vijay Kumar R. Thank you, sir, for leading us in a right path always. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to express our gratitude to the resource person, Dr. Ankit Saxena, GLA University, Mathura, UP. So, who, despite his busy schedule, have found time to share his experiences and ideas on structural equation model with Amos and ethnometric analysis with eViews. Thank you, sir. Adding rich value to our institution is unified support of all the wonderful teachers. We thank the entire teaching fraternity of the Department of Commerce for their active involvement and engagements. Also, I extend our gratitude to all the delegates from the various institutions across the nation and the globe for their active participation virtually. I thank all the faculty coordinators of this FDP for their untireless support and meticulous planning for executions to make this day a memorable one. Thank you all the faculty coordinators. Once again, I thank you one and all who are present here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Wishing all the participants as you embark this journey of professional development, may you gain valuable insights, new skills, and connections which enrich both your career and your personal growth. Go forth with enthusiasm and make the most of this very opportunity. I now invite the choir for the Jayanti Anthem.
Like a golden disc, sun in the rising east, lights up a light divine, fills knowledge in our minds. Laurels and the book make us sublime. With the mighty Lord, we soar high on the bedrock of faith. Joy and peace, sprawl our hearts and minds. On we march our goals as a beacon for the world, with a passion for our growth and a love for humankind, united and strong in excellence on the bedrock of faith. Human dignity true, excellence we strive. Christu giant delight and prosperity.
Thank you, choir. Thank you all. I remain.
Thank you, participants. We'll be joining on the same time tomorrow.